Hi, wrestling fans. This is Bill Dundee. So when you're around town, you tune in to IYHWrestling.com, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
All right, we're back here at In Your Head Wrestling Radio, and I'm still the internet icon, Jackie Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And you are?
I'm 1 inch biceps.
Exactly. And we are joined here by Johnny Dotson, who's going to tell us about his career and all the things he's done in wrestling, how he got into wrestling. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. I was at the surgeon earlier today, but I'm doing good. Things are looking good.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, first of all, for people who aren't aware of Johnny Dotson at the moment, are you currently still in wrestling, and where can they see you?
I'm a semi-retired. I've been doing it for 20 years. I work still in the Memphis market for Jerry Lawler and his son Kevin Lawler. I also work for a guy named Soul Taker. He got a company here in Memphis called the RSS Wrestling. And then I do stuff for a promoter out of Nashville, which is Bert Prentice.
Mm-hmm.
He runs the USA Wrestling company out of Nashville. So he does like the Nashville area, Knoxville, Chattanooga, that part of East Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. How did you, where were you trained to be a wrestler?
Oh, I was two places. I was trained by Superstar Bill Dundee.
Nice.
In McKenzie, Tennessee. And then I got signed with WCW, and I did the power plant deal. And they sent me to Burt Prentice in Nashville. That was the developmental area, and that's how I really just got rolling pretty good, is with that, Bill Burns.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were trained by Bill Dundee, were you a fan of Memphis wrestling, and is that how you got connected?
That's how I got connected. I started off doing boxing, amateur boxing out in the Covington, Tennessee area. And I was introduced to Bill Dundee by Derek King, the guy that did the Wrestling with Death on WGN. He was my tag partner at the time. He introduced me to Bill Dundee, and that's how I got into his wrestling school. So Bill Dundee trained a whole lot of guys, I don't know if you know this guy named Trey Keller. He was also on the developmental with WWE, Spellbinder, Harry Del Rios. Mm-hmm. All those different guys. Bill Dundee helped a whole lot of guys in the business. So me, I'm not a big guy. I'm not a tall guy. So if somebody's going to train me, I need to be going to somebody who's on my size, who can understand coming from a short guy's perspective.
Yeah.
Because I'm only 5'7".
Mm-hmm. So I'm
5'7", 210.
Mm-hmm. What did Bill tell you when you first went to him? Said I want to be a wrestler.
Well, his first thing was because you're not a giant and you're not a big guy, he said you got to be willing to do more than they do. And I really didn't know what it meant at the time, because when I broke into business, I was only 120 pounds. Man, when I tell you I had to wrestle midget, women, anything I had to do to just get on the card, Mm-hmm. Because when you break into the wrestling business, nobody knows you. So when a promoter puts you on the card, they're doing you a favor. It's all paying your dues. I had to drive people around and all that kind of stuff, man. It was a good experience. At first, I didn't like it, mm-hmm. But then I understand why, and I think that's the problem that I see now with the whole NXT thing. A lot of those guys really don't pay dues, but then you do have some guys let's say for instance, like Samoa Joe and you got Finn Balor. Those guys, they pay their dues on the international circuit and around the United States. But there's a lot of guys that they got a good body, just been bodybuilders or prima donnas, and just because how they look, they get put in the wrestling business but never had to pay the dues. They don't know how it feels to have to sleep in your car to go to the next town. They don't know how it feels to go wrestle a show and you get paid a hot dog and a Coke.
Mm-hmm. So,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. What are you and a lot of guys who wrestled on the territories and on independent scene and stuff, when you see guys like that who didn't pay their dues and just either were on Tough Enough or, like you said, just look good and they get signed to NXT, what do you think of those guys?
Well, I don't have respect for them. And one of the guys I really don't have respect for is a guy named Elijah Burke. They call him the Poke on TNA. Uh-huh. I have no respect for him whatsoever.
Why is that? Because we've had, I know CM Punk said he was the stiffest guy he ever wrestled in the ring.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. Mm-hmm. My first WWE tryout was against him. And so I did the first one with him, then we had to come back the next night, and they put us in a tag match. It was me and David Cash against Elijah Burke and Dolph Ziggler at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's before Dolph got really signed or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, this little guy, you know, I could see what he was saying in the corner. And I'm talking about he tried to stiff me, he tried to hurt me. Now, the difference is between me and David, a lot of people don't know, Kid Cash is really like an MMA fighter for a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he seen it, he instantly came in and took over. And I don't know what Elijah Burke deal was, but and I hate to say this because I'm an African American male, is that when you have African Americans that has already signed with WWE or whatever, you know, the roster is going to be limited with black guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. And they feel like if another black guy gets signed, that means a black guy is going on his way out. And I think that was his deal with me because when I worked for WCW, Arn Anderson was my agent, and Arn Anderson like really liked me. So he definitely tried to get me signed, even though I didn't weigh but 120 pounds.
Just real quick, I know.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in Tony Atlas's book, he actually talks about the same thing. He said that he encountered the most racism from other black wrestlers because they didn't want more than one. You know, they had, you know, quote unquote, one black star per territory. So when he would come in somewhere, the other people would, you know, see that as like they were going to, Tony would take their spot.
Right. And it's amazing that you would say that because I never read Tony's book. But when I broke into business and actually once I got signed with WCW, I went on a road with a wrestler by the name of Brickhouse Brown. Because Brickhouse Brown was a mainstay here in Memphis and in the Texas world-class area. So since I lived in Memphis, he came in to work for Corey Macklin and Jerry Lawler. So he kind of took me under his wing. And that's how I actually got signed with WCW was because of Brickhouse Brown. And he began to introduce me to how things worked in the wrestling business, especially for a black guy. In the wrestling business, a lot of people believe black guys don't get over.
Did you see that for yourself? Did you come across people, you know, who gave you that impression?
Yeah, well, yeah. Now I have to be honest. When I first came to WWE for my tryout, I met Johnny Ace, and Johnny Ace and Terry Taylor was there. And on that, like, you got to look at this kid. This kid can do some amazing stuff, you know. So when I got in the ring, headed to the ring, Ric Flair came down the ringside. And at that time, Shane Helms was there. But I knew Shane because of WCW. You know, he was in 3 Count. And so when I got there, Ric Flair was like, well, they're not doing anything with Shane, and he's bigger than him. He looked me in my face and told me, I want to make sure you don't get a job.
Wow.
He didn't know me. I've never met him before, but that's what he said. So Shawn Michaels came down the ringside, and he looked at me and he was like, man, where are all these brothers coming from? After a while, we're going to add chicken to the catering.
Jeez. Like, who was around when somebody like Shawn Michaels would say that? And did it seem like anyone, you know, like were taken back, or it was just kind of like business as usual for someone to say something like that?
Well, at that time, I knew Mabel, also Big Daddy V, God rest his soul. He was here in Memphis, and he was a mainstay because he lived like in Memphis and in the West Memphis, Arkansas area. So he was there at the time, and he heard it as well. David Kid Cash heard it also, and we call him the Beast. Crime Time, what his name?
Shad Gaspard, yeah.
He was there at the time. And so they were just trying to tell me, you know, like calm down, because I was offended. You know, you gotta understand, I'm only a 19, 20-year-old kid. You know what I mean, at the time.
Did they seem to you know, think anything of it, or what was like their reaction? And when they tell you to calm down,
reaction was,
like, you know, just to calm down.
Don't let it bother you. Just shut your mouth. Don't say anything. And so, you know, me being from Memphis, you know, I'm like, what do you mean? Don't say anything. Shut your mouth. Because I had only been in the business 2 years. You know, and it was like, you know, a lot of time when stuff like this happen, you know, they have the advantage. Just shut your mouth and do what you're told.
Because
and that's what I did.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, even though it would be like this kind of take devil's advocate, be politically correct to say something like that. But if you were friends with someone and you knew how to joke around with them, maybe you would say that to somebody. You know what I mean? But if it's somebody you never met before, if you just say that, I mean, how else is someone going to take that?
Exactly. You know, and it like really crushed me. And so when I ended up, I had to do my match in front of Triple H. Triple H liked me, and he was like, well, just do what you got to do to get bigger. He's like, I can't tell you what to do, but do what you got to do to get bigger.
No,
and, you know, but still, I'm remembering, you know, him and Shawn Michaels are good friends.
Right.
And so while I'm in the ring working out, wrestling or whatever, Shawn Michaels talking to him. So I'm like, oh, I know I'm not getting the job.
Yeah.
So I ended up having 3 tryouts with WWE. At that time, I was weighing like 120. I beat up to like 150. I went back again. I beat up again to about 180. I went back again. They told me that I needed to get up to about 205. So in July of 2006, I ended up, you know, like tearing my leg up completely, had reconstructive ankle surgery. So that was before I was actually supposed to go back to do my other trial with WWE. So Dutch Mantel, he hooked it up with what's this guy's name? Oh, in TNA at the time, that he was running around with Petey Williams and all those guys. He was like the man at the time.
Scott Steiner?
No, Scott. What is the guy's name? It was with Petey Williams. Who? What's his name?
Scott D'Amore.
Scott D'Amore.
Okay.
He was like the guy at TNA at the time. Mm-hmm. So Dutch ended up setting up something for me to go to Nashville, because they were doing like Nashville, the little house pay-per-views or whatever they were doing or whatever. They had a show there called Explosion. Mm-hmm. So I ended up wrestling those guys, Team Canada, me and 2 other guys. Mm-hmm. And it went extremely well. But then I ended up going to wrestle for NWA Battlezone, and that's when I destroyed my leg. And I ended up losing that deal because of that. Because at that time, you know, you're a young kid. You don't really know. All you want to do is wrestle.
Mm-hmm. And do you think, you know, when you add that much weight to your frame, because you said you bulked up, you know, I think there's like 60 pounds there. Is that harder than on your knees and your joints and, you know, to...
Yeah, when I went to the doctor, he told me that my frame wasn't designed to hold that kind of weight. And what I was doing, you know, the gimmicks or whatever, what I was doing at the time, you know what I mean? He said it made my bones brittle. Mm. Yeah, that's it. And so that's how I really, like, you know, destroyed my leg or whatever. So I tried again to go. I got in touch with Dutch again, Dutch Mantel. Well, y'all know him as Zeb Coates or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
The deal is. He had a pool over in Puerto Rico. And Derek King and Stan Lee went over, and they was the tag team champs over in Puerto Rico from Memphis at the time. So he got in touch with Carlos Colon to get me to go over there. But I had to end up having another ankle surgery, which kept me from going over there, because I was supposed to go over there and do the tour for 8 months. So, you know, and once all that stuff started happening, I was like, okay, maybe this is not what I was supposed to do. So.
When they tell you, you know, we'd like you to get bigger, but I'm not going to tell you how to get bigger, I would think most people listening to this know how to take that. How did you take that?
Dude, everybody, let me say this. When somebody tells you to get bigger, and they don't tell you how to get bigger, you already know what to do. You got to go get on the gas. Everybody knows that.
And was that the first time you used anything like that?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you know, because we've actually had people on the show who said that they're good to use if you know how to use them properly and stuff. But after you yourself have used them and you've had these injuries and things, would you recommend them for other people, or would you say, you know, stay away from them?
It's such because now doctors prescribing it now for people who say they got low T.
Right.
You know what I mean? Low testosterone, whatever. They call it male hormone therapy, but it's just another way of saying that you're on the gas. Mm-hmm. You know, if you misuse anything, it's going to cause some kind of harm. And even an aspirin has a side effect.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would say it's a misuse of it. Now, if you really need it and you use it for what the doctor tells you to use for, it's different.
Right.
See, but here I am. I was shooting like 650 milligrams a week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot.
Yeah. How much? Like, was it hard? Was it hard to come by? Like, do you get it from other wrestlers? Or I don't want to incriminate you, but like, was it hard to get?
No. In this business, everybody knows everybody.
Uh-huh.
And in the wrestling business, you never say never. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. And
even if you can't get it yourself,
right,
somebody who can get it will get it for you.
Yeah, yeah. And I would think that would also be an expensive thing. Did that take a toll, like, monetarily on you? Especially when you're not with, like, WWE yet.
Yeah, because you got to understand, at the time, and most people might not know this, but at the time, WWE was only paying you, like, if you came and did a tryout or you did a dark match or whatever, it was only like $300 for that night. Mm-hmm. You know, but that doesn't cover you getting to wherever they tell you to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they didn't.
They don't cover your trans, none of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't think they still do, even for people they cover, like, the plane ticket for people on the show, but I still don't think they cover, like, rental cars and stuff for everybody.
Let's see, because I hadn't talked to anybody, and I know about 10 years, so, you know what I mean? I don't know if it really, like, changed that much. Even if they call you and tell you to come in and you don't get a chance to do your dark match, they still used to pay you.
Yeah.
At that time, Sergeant Slaughter used to be the guy that paid you.
Mm-hmm. Any stories with Sergeant Slaughter? How was he with you?
He was pretty cool. I had a run-in with Mark, the Undertaker. I had a run-in with him.
Mm-hmm. What was that about?
And that's because of a history between him and Bill Dundee had heat.
Huh. Do you know what over?
And so he watched me. Boy, I can tell you the story about that because I called Bill, from the arena.
Yeah.
Because he watched me work out, and he was like, "Kids, you look pretty good." He was like, "You need to beef up." He said, "Who trained you?" I said, "Bill Dundee." He said, "Look, motherfucker, you ever tell me to mention that name again around here, you would never be allowed back here." And I'm like, whoa. And he wasn't smiling. He wasn't joking. None of that. So I was like, man, what the hell going on?
Yeah.
So I go get my cell phone, and I go to the back. I call Bill. I'm like, "Superstar, what's going on?" And he was like, Taker had ended up marrying some rat from Memphis when he was here as Master of Pain that he used to mess with. And so he didn't know they was married, and Bill said that when she walked by, he slapped her on the butt, and that made Taker mad.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? And so, and he was like, "Yeah, don't mention my name." I'm like, "Well, you should have told me that before I got up there and I actually trained." You know what I mean? Yeah. That was like other than that, that was about it. But everybody else was pretty cool. I don't really know, like, Ron Killings, So I don't know if people really, like, know, like, most of the guys that you see, like Daniel Bryan, he was here in Memphis for Memphis Championship Wrestling because we was a developmental time for WWE. Mm-hmm. And I don't think a lot of people know that. Mm-hmm. When it was Memphis Championship Wrestling, you had Ron Killings was here, Brian Kendrick was here. At that time, he was called Spanky. You had American Dragon here, which was Daniel Bryan. He was here. Kurt Angle was here. Rikishi. All those guys was here. I've like wrestled Aaron O'Grady. I don't know. Do y'all know? Well, he was called Crash Holly.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
At the time when he was here, Steve Bradley, Glenn Coker, all those guys was here. I like wrestle like all of these guys. Mm-hmm. So that's how I pretty much know most of them is because they ended up coming here, and then I was really cool with Jim Cornette. So I ended up doing a whole lot of Ohio Valley stuff at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said you were cool with Jim Cornette. Did what was he like to be around, and what kind of advice did he give to you?
Jim Cornette was the greatest, and I don't say that about too many people. My favorite two people that's like really old timers, that's managers, would be Jimmy Hart and Jim Cornette. because they really tried to help like the younger talent.
Mm-hmm.
What my first night at Ohio Valley when me and Derek went there, at that time John Cena was still there. Shelton Benjamin, House brothers were still there in Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare Danny Davis actually ran the school though.
Yeah.
And so Jim Cornette actually took us out
Mm-hmm.
to the club,
Mm-hmm.
me and Derek, and he was like the greatest guy.
Mm-hmm. What kind of advice did he give you, as a wrestler?
The same advice everybody else gave me. You got to get bigger.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You got to get bigger. You know what I mean? Because in the era that I came in, and that's why it makes me so mad that I'm watching like this cruiser. And I normally don't even watch it, but they have this cruiserweight tournament deal.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, where was this stuff at when I broke in?
I was going to mention that when you mentioned being, smaller, because they do legit weigh-ins for that, and some of the guys were weighing in at like 135 pounds. They announce all their weights.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's a guy that I really, really liked, and he's a young kid. He's only like 25.
Mm-hmm.
I've wrestled him twice, and he comes down from Louisville, and he comes to Memphis, and he's signed with Ring of Honor right now. That's ACH.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish he would have that opportunity to go to WWE because he's a great talent. Because he reminds me so much of myself when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually spoke to him about how some things that he's experienced. You know what I mean? Not because I'm not gonna put him out there like that, but he's one of the guys that I really believe that he could make it.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think's special about him, and what do you think you need to have to make it to WWE?
Well, number one, you gotta have charisma. We gotta understand that we're in a totally different era. When I broke in '95, it was called professional wrestling. You know what I mean? Nobody even mentions that no more. Like, it's not even called professional wrestling. It's called sports entertainment.
Right.
They're really trying to get like models. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To be entertainers. Like strippers or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Because, if you was a guy that could actually shoot or mat wrestle or can really chain wrestle or whatever the case may be, you could have no teeth in your mouth or, a box haircut, you didn't look good in the face, and that was marketable because you automatically know this is a heel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now that's not the case. It's not. So it's really hard for the younger guys because now everybody can do anything. You know what I mean? Back in the days when I started wrestling in Memphis, nobody did any aerial stuff in our area, ever. I was the first.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now you got so many guys that can do the flips, that can do the high flying, all right? Then two, WWE can make you who they want you to be. To where here in Memphis, when we was here, and Memphis was hot, they'll give you a name, but it was up to you to run with the character.
Mm-hmm.
It was up to you to do your own promos to where now everything is scripted.
Yeah. Now you're going to talk here. Was that one of your strengths, you think, too, was promos?
Oh, yeah. I had great promos.
I
to me, that's the biggest thing. It's really, you got to have a match before you get to the ring, and you got to learn how to beat people with war words. I call it verbal judo. You got to know how to have verbal judo in order to have a good mic spiel.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite guys before you got into wrestling yourself?
Oh, my God. My favorite wrestler growing up as a kid was Jared Hall, because I lived in Memphis, and a guy named Adrian Street.
Oh, nice. Adorable, yeah.
Exotic Adrian Street was one of my favorite wrestlers. And I would say, I'd say also Bruiser Brody was in my top.
Mm-hmm.
When
you got into Memphis, when you yourself got to Memphis, were you around Lawler at all?
That's the crazy thing. When I first broke into business wrestling, I lived in Memphis but I had to drive to Nashville to wrestle. Jerry Lawler and a lot of the promoters here did not even know that I was from Memphis, because Bill Dundee School was in McKenzie, Tennessee. That's up close to Nashville. So most of my bookings was in Nashville. So my first TV experience was with Music City Wrestling in Nashville. So once I got married, I ended up getting married, and I ended up not being able to go so far away because, when you get married, the whole lifestyle changes. You know what I mean? So then I ended up meeting Jerry Lawler here at the Mid-South Coliseum, and he was like, well, I thought you lived in Nashville. I was like, no. So, but at that time, Randy Hales was running a company called Power Pro Wrestling here in Memphis. And then there was a competitor. There was 2 television shows in Memphis at the time. Power Pro Wrestling came on Channel 5, the NBC network, and then there was a company called Kick-Ass Wrestling, which would wrestle in like the slummiest, the crazy, slimiest places in the city, and they could curse, drink beer, liquors, smoke cigarettes to the ring. People was in the club smoking weed, everything. And it used to come on at 12 o'clock, midnight on UPN 30. So I ended up wrestling for the company called Kick-Ass Wrestling. So by me working with Kick-Ass Wrestling, it was a suit on Power Pro Wrestling that I don't know if people might even know anything about, with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. When Doug said that Lawler like raped some little girl or something, you know what I mean? And so Lawler ended up coming to KAW at the time, working with this man by the name of Terry Goldie. And that's how the Memphis Championship Wrestling whole thing, and that's how I got a chance to meet Lawler and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we went from there. How I end up, me and Lawler's like really cool. Like I have a cell number. I talk to him on the phone regularly. We're like really cool. So I end up being in a battle royal with Lawler, and it boiled down to like me in the last 5. And if you want to get over with King, if you got some good punches, you can get over with him. Yeah. Because that's what he did for 40 years, is throw punches.
Yeah, really, almost all the guys in Memphis, in that kind of wrestling in itself, they mostly guys throw good punches. But Lawler's got to be up there for one of the best punches ever in wrestling.
Well, you got to put Lawler, and you also got to put Jeff Jarrett as well.
Yeah. I really like Terry Funk's punches too.
Well, yeah, Terry got some good punches too. Yeah. I actually was just with him. We actually did a show together here in Jackson at the Omen.
Was that the one
where he worked Lawler? Matter of fact.
Was that the one that had Lance, the voice of Mid-South there, Lance, what's his name?
Lance Russell, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw the video of that. That was great.
Yeah, it was me and Derek King. We ended up working, I don't know if y'all know this guy, this legend by the name of Tony Falk.
I know that name, but
he worked in World Class for a while as well. So we ended up working him and his son on that show. I've really been blessed to the point to where I made a really decent name for myself around here. I'm like, me and Bill Dundee and Coco, Coco West from here as well. Yeah. I'm like we are like the only 3 small guys that have like held every major title that's in this area. At our size. So I did pretty well, and I made pretty decent money on the independent scenes as well. So I do pretty okay.
Yeah. You talked a lot about Bill Dundee. Any thoughts on his son, Jamie Dundee?
Did I not know that was coming? I knew that was coming. Well, me and Jamie never had any issues. But we do have, I'm not going to say we ever had any major heat. But I don't like some of the things that he do, and I don't like some of the things that he say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very
but he showed me, when he's around me, he showed me the utmost respect.
Do you think some
because I don't play.
Right. Do you think some of the stuff he says is to be controversial and be like the Jamie Dundee character to get people to talk about him? Or do you think all that stuff really just is him?
It really can't be, and this is a shoot. It really can't be his real opinions because, him, Bill Dundee, and Rocky Johnson tags for years.
Yeah.
And so he used to spend the night with Rocky, and you know what I mean?
Right.
So those can't be his real views. A lot of stuff is designed just to get publicity and to make money, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's another way to do it. But, you know, if that's how you got to do it, that's on him, you know what I mean?
Right. Now, I have to ask, because you did mention the story about Undertaker and his wife, who was a former rat for Bill Dundee. You yourself, when you broke into wrestling, maybe even now, I don't know, what was the rat scene like, and did you get to partake in that?
Well, Memphis. Memphis is like the cornerstone of wrestling. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So there's always going to be a rat. So you know what I used to do is, and I'm going to be honest, is when they pay for your hotel, you just tell them, you know, to give you the money. You got a rat in every town, so you just go stay with the rat. You know what I mean? You just save your money.
Uh-huh. Yeah, see, you get a little bit off. You get a little extra money there, and you're getting the room.
Right. Then she's gonna wash your clothes. She's gonna feed you. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And do other things as well.
People, a lot of wrestlers say that the rat scene's like dried up in wrestling. Would you say it's true in Memphis, or is it one of the?
No, it's not true in Memphis. It's really not true in Memphis. It's really about how you market yourself and how you view yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, I don't know anybody else. Like I still don't hang with fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I'm leaving the show, you know, I grab my bag, I go to my car. That's it. I don't stay around, and so you know, a lot of the guys when they mess up, they hang out with the fans. They go to the bars with them afterwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I have the belief that you know, if you go to a Dr. Dre concert or a Puff Daddy concert, at the end of the show, Puff Daddy's not going out to eat with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, so I keep the perception, and so and that's how I roll. You know, I've been blessed to put up money or whatever. So I drive nice cars. I got Mercedes and all that good stuff. So you know, I really live up to the character when I go to the building.
Mm-hmm. Now, back to when you went to WCW there for a while, and you were at the power plant. Was the Sarge there training?
No, because actually the branch of the power plant that I went to was not even in Atlanta. They had one in Nashville at the fairgrounds off Wedgwood Drive.
I didn't even know that.
And that's where like me, Chris Harris, James Storm, Elix Skipper, that's why we were.
Mm-hmm. So
we were there.
Who was in charge of? Who were the trainers there?
At that time, it was really like Bert Prentice had what's this guy's name? Styling Shane Eden. That was his name. Styling Shane Eden. Wolfie D. Mm-hmm. He was a trainer there as well. A guy named Jeff Daniels. Mm-hmm. He was a trainer there as well, and a man. He was really with us, but you know he was like really telling everybody pretty much what to do. Lance Storm was there a lot as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you had some quality trainers in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, did you ever wrestle like on the WCW shows on Saturday night or Nitro or anything?
Yeah, I did. I did some house shows, and I made my debut on Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
I wrestled Kwee-Wee.
Oh, nice. I remember him.
On Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
So you know that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
He was vicious, but it was cool. And even if you look at that video, I was probably about 140 pounds, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I know you said in WWE they asked you to bulk up. Was that a concern in WCW too? They thought you needed to get bigger, or was it not as important?
No, nobody. They did tell me I need to get bigger, but it really wasn't an issue because we had so many like other small guys that was there. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, AJ was there, mm-hmm. and he wasn't big at all. Paris was there. Mm-hmm. He wasn't big at all. You had Hurricane St. Hims. He was there. Mm-hmm. He wasn't that big at all. Shannon Moore.
Yeah, and he was smaller than Shane, so.
Right.
And of course, Rey Mysterio.
Now, the Rey Mysterio that people see on WWE, before he left, was not the Rey Mysterio that I knew.
Right.
He probably about 125 pounds then.
Yeah.
If that.
Mm-hmm. He was a much...
when he came to WWE and I seen him on TV, I was like, wow, Rey's beefed up.
Yeah. Which I never really understood because, no matter how, big Rey would get, he's still going to be very short. So I never understood, it didn't really make much of a difference. I just thought, it was probably, harder on him, on his knees and stuff. But, he's always going to be this little guy. So.
Oh, I'm going to tell you another guy that, I don't know what happened. Juventud. Because Juventud was, I know probably about 120. Mm-hmm. And then next thing I know, he was, jacked.
We've had the Juice on the show a couple times. Do you have any stories about? Were you ever around the Juice? Juventud?
The only story that I have is the one that some of the boys called me about because I didn't get a chance to go on that tour. I can't remember where they were.
In Australia?
He had got into some bad mushrooms.
Yeah.
And he was running around the lobby naked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that was Australia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was one of the tours, and it's crazy.
Who were some of the guys that you would travel with when you were in WCW?
I was with Ricky Santana. Now, me and Dave Penzer was really cool. Most of the times, that's who I was with. Mm-hmm. And Dave Penzer gave me a nickname. He called me Smooth. Why he called me Smooth? I don't know. But that's he never called me Johnny. Uh-huh. He always called me Smooth. Uh-huh. He was like, Smooth, me in your cell room, Smooth. We'll run a car together, Smooth. So in some instances, I can say that I was kind of blessed because, Dave could, he had a card and all that kind of stuff to where a lot of stuff, when you're on a deal with the power plant and stuff like that, you know what I mean? They don't really pay for your food and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So when you go out, Dave would pretty much swipe his card because he could write it off on his taxes or whatever. Yeah. So he really fed me and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool. Now you mentioned the rat situation in Memphis. What was it like while you were in WCW? Was it better or worse than Memphis?
Oh yes. You got to think about it. I'm a country guy from Oakland, Tennessee, here in Fayette County in Tennessee. And some of the things that I've seen, here's a great story about a rat. Uh-huh. All right. Me, Jamie Dundee, Wolfie D, who else was there? Jamie Dundee, Wolfie D, Chris Harris, all of us was in Fayetteville, Arkansas. At this time, WCW was on its last leg. It was a guy there by the name of Emory Hales. I don't know if y'all probably know who that is.
I know that. Yeah.
I don't think he had a really big run, but Jimmy Hart used to manage him at the time. Mm-hmm. We was in Fayetteville, Arkansas. In Fayetteville, Arkansas, there's a strip club called Regina House of Dolls. And so the boys, after the show, we wrestled at the University of Arkansas Stadium at the time. I'm talking about a really big show. And this was my first time, Emory Hale's person didn't show up to work. I can't remember who it was. And so they came to me and was like, hey, kids, you got your gear? I was like, yeah, I got it. It was just hurry up, put it on, go to the ring. I was like, who am I wrestling? Nobody told me. It was like, just go to the ring. I was like, but who am I wrestling? They was like, don't worry about it, just go to the ring. So at this time, I really didn't know Emory Hales. Emory Hales was 6'10", 320. So, imagine me seeing this big monster come to the ring. But we did the show and everything. Everything was fine. So we ended up going to the strip club. So we get ready to go back to the hotel, to the lobby. We're drinking in the lobby and all that good stuff. So I heard Jamie and Wolfie and Emory Hales and Chris Harris all them talking about, they got these girls from the strip club, that they met the dancers was going to come back to their rooms. So they ended up going to the room to get ready for them, whatever the case may be. I knew where that room was because their room was right up to the hall for mine. So they had 3 strippers to come up in an elevator when I'm getting ready to go to my room. So they're asking me where their room in. I told them I didn't know. And so they said since I didn't know where their room was, they would just stay with me. Mm-hmm. Best night of my life. So here's the crazy part. So checkout time, we got to get ready to go. We got to go to Texarkana, Texas, the next morning. So we get up at checkout time. We get ready to go out. Soon I come out my room. Guess who we see? I got the strippers, and I see Jamie, Whoopi, and everybody. Oh, hell no. and I couldn't help but laugh. It was crazy. But that was like the funnest time I ever had with those guys was then.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, they'll talk about, I stole their strippers.
Here in the chat room, did you see this question from Matt? You want me to ask it, or do you see it?
You ask it.
Well, he wants, because you mentioned earlier, it was Brickhouse Brown you mentioned, and he said on one of the Brickhouse Brown DVDs that, so he wants to know, can you confirm the rumor that Brickhouse Brown said that the lady wrestlers are in-house women for...
I didn't see the video, but I'm going to finish the question, though.
So do you have an answer for this one?
Okay, ask the question. Let me make sure we talk about the same thing.
All right. Can you confirm the rumors that a lot of the lady wrestlers are in-house poon for the boys, is how the question is.
Yes, that's true. That's why I laughed. Yes, that's true.
Can you give us any names? No.
No, I can't give any names. Let me just say that I was on a road brick house for 2 years. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Brickhouse is a great storyteller too, I have to say.
If Brickhouse said it, if you can believe it.
That's what I've always said on the show. I believe anything I've heard from the Brickhouse Brown DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not gonna lie. He's a straight shooter.
Does he still do those? Do you know the Brick? I know he did a bunch of them, but I don't know if he still keeps on them or not. The Brickhouse DVD. Brickhouse DVD.
I was with Brick about, I think 3 months ago. We did a show in South Haven, Mississippi, because he lives in Jackson, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing this thing called, he told me he was doing something called Brickhouse TV.
Yeah, that's what it was, yep.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's still doing it or not.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed them quite a bit.
But if you talk to Brickhouse, if you mention the name Johnny Dotson, he's probably going to laugh about 20 minutes before he can go on with the interview, I promise you.
Excellent. We've not had him on the show yet. I hope to one day, because I'm a big fan.
Oh, Brickhouse is excellent.
Yeah.
What about Brian Christopher? Have you had him on the show yet?
No, we never had Brian Christopher on either. But do you have any thoughts on Brian Christopher?
Me and Brian Christopher like super cool. I just talked to him Saturday. Yeah. But we hadn't always been. We got into a fist fight at TV. When I first broke in, that's when he was leaving WWE at the time, and I was trying to go at the time. And he said that I was walking around the locker room like, my shit didn't stink or whatever the case may be. And so he shoved me and we got into a fist fight. And then, I don't know if you know, he was also in WWE at the time, Harry Del Rios. He was called Phantasmo or some crazy stuff like that at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? He's like, 6'6", 280. He sucker punched me from behind. So I'm fighting him and Brian Christopher. And you got to keep in mind, I'm only like 160 pounds. You know what I mean? So, but after that, me and Brian we were like really cool. We buried the hatchet and it was cool. So actually, when I broke my leg, before I actually went up to TNA, Brian was there. It happened in the ring. When I was wrestling for NWA Battle Zone, they didn't tie the top. The top was supposed to be tied tight to the ring. So it wasn't. So that mean the board shifted, and I was running full speed, and my leg went through the ring. And the guy was running to me, so he shifted the board, which caused the board to snap my leg in half.
Oh God!
So Brian was the guy that actually took me to the hospital. So it was cool.
Well, how long ago was that?
That was in 06.
Man, now, I mean, I know you. How do you do you fully recover from that, or is that something that's always gonna, have problems for you?
I still have problems because I had pins and screws in my leg for like 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I just won the Memphis Wrestling Junior Heavyweight title here in Memphis at the time. So I had to actually like forfeit the belt, everything. I was on the ship for like 9 months. And then, I had the screws in. And then after I went back for rehab and they x-rayed me again, they told me I no longer needed the screws and pins. So I had to go have another surgery to remove them out. And so it put me on the shelf for about like a year and a half, which also was a good thing because then I began to put on weight. Because when you get hurt, I don't care who you are, you're going to sit around, you're going to eat, you're going to take painkillers and all that crazy stuff, and you're going to put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that was one of the things. But I never was back as explosive and athletic as I was prior to me getting hurt.
See here. Madman Maple, do you have a question for Johnny?
Oh, no. Whoops. I didn't know you guys were interviewing somebody right now.
Oh, he wanted to probably talk. That's all right. I'm sure Madman wanted to talk about the draft, but that's all right. But Maple,
I'll call back later.
This is a good interview. Listen to it.
Okay, sorry about that. Have a good one.
You're a good man. That's no problem. Look at that.
So you're all out of Minnesota, right?
I'm in Massachusetts, and OIB here is in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
There's a guy there by the name of Mark Bravera. He does a lot of stuff on the independent scenes out that way in West Virginia.
Have you ever
He calls himself the Memphis Mofo.
I'm not too familiar with him, no.
But you might need to check him out. He's really good.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not too familiar with any of the indie guys around here. I'm kind of like...
Really?
kind of like on my own
I really hate that.
island here.
One thing I do hate about wrestling now is that there's no territories anymore. Dude, when it was territories, it was great. I promise you, it was like you go anywhere wrestling. You made a pretty, nice little money.
Yeah.
On the independent scene.
Mm-hmm. I know there's one wrestling company near you that's good. It's like ASW, I think, All Star Wrestling, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're always bringing in a lot of good independent talent, and then they always bring in like a name or two, to headline. But they always seem to have really good shows. I used to have some indie stuff around me, but I'm on Cape Cod and there's absolutely nothing that ever comes around here anymore. Sadly.
Yeah, because then also the TV networks has messed it up so bad because, here in Memphis, most of the time on Saturday mornings at 11 o'clock was like the really wrestling time here. Mm-hmm. But, the powers to be in Washington said it has to be, kids friendly. So they're going to put on infomercials and all that kind of stuff other than having wrestling on now, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But, it's one of those also situations where there's no good indie places to really work anymore. Mm-hmm. If the promoter's not booking it and making himself the champion of his kid or somebody, you know what I mean? Which is crazy. Mm-hmm. So what about Mr. Hughes? Have y'all talked to him yet?
Yeah, we had Mr. Hughes on last week. That was a lot. He had a lot of great stories, and he's got a new wrestling school that he started. So
when you talk to Mr. Hughes, because I actually I can tell you a crazy story about Mr. Hughes. Like one of Mr. Hughes' fingers is like broke. Mm-hmm. His middle finger, so it's like he's always throwing a finger at somebody because it's like straight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If anybody ever really like no Curtis or whatever. So, but he was here as well. Mm-hmm. We did an angle here at the casino. There's a casino here in Tunica, not far from Memphis, like 20 minutes, like Tunica casinos. So we was wrestling at one of the venues called Sam Town. And so I was like the Sam Town champion or whatever, and I had to wrestle Mr. Hughes in an angle, and I eventually dropped the belt to him. So,
yeah, he's really jacked.
So Mr. Hughes was cool.
Yeah, he's really jacked now too. He got himself in really good shape.
Really?
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight. And he's like all ripped, and he says it's all natural, but he looks like a different guy. I mean, he still wears Mr. Hughes stuff, but he looks like a different person, like body wise.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when he was like 400 pounds.
Yeah, definitely. That's how I remember him too. So when I saw recent
When I first met him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he looks great too. I think he looks even younger than he did. Not that he looked old or anything, but he looks in good shape. Looks like a young guy.
well, whenever you talk to Curtis again, just mention the name Johnny Dotson, and he's probably gonna laugh as well.
Excellent. No.
Because I always was like the Joker, you know what I mean? In the locker room, I always did the pranks like super glue guys, boots to the floor. I always played the ribs on people though.
Yeah. Did you when you're playing the ribs like that? Did anyone ever get heat on? Did everyone take it the wrong way?
No. I'm like a really nice guy though. You know what I mean?
Right.
I try to, I do anything. If somebody wants to put them over, I have no problem. I don't have no ego. I'm like, I try to be cool, laid back, because I just love the business. I love, just hanging with the boys, having fun. To me, if wrestling is not fun anymore, you need to quit.
Mm-hmm.
When it's all been that serious to where it's not fun, you need to quit.
Yeah.
Because when I broke in the business, they played ribs on me.
Uh-huh.
They put ice hot in my tights. You know what I mean? So I'm going in the ring, I got ice hot in them. Me, I'm young, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that when you get the sweat, it's going to activate it.
Uh-huh.
And then you're in the ring burning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get out of the ring, go to the shower, strip butt naked, laying in the floor of the shower, trying to get the water to calm me down.
So,
you know what I mean?
Well,
I was mad at first, but it was funny.
Right. And it wasn't even permanent harm or anything, so it's not gonna hurt you or nothing.
Right. Those, man, when I tell you, those were the good days, man. Like, y'all call him A-Train.
Yeah.
I think that's what A-Train, but he's something else he's like a trainer for WWE.
Yeah, something balloon.
We called him Baldo here in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to play ribs on everybody as well.
Yeah, and you can't. He's a big guy, so you can't get mad at him.
No, humongous. But like one of the nicest giants you ever meet in your life.
Yeah. What kind of ribs did he play?
I want to say that when we went to a place called Selma, Tennessee, and all of us was riding together, and we was getting ready to go to the show. No, that was Carl Duke. That wasn't him. That was Carl. Do you know a guy named Joe LeDuc?
Oh yeah.
He had a nephew named Carl LeDuc, but I think he's dead now.
Yeah. One of them died not that long ago. Well, the Mad Dog died, but there was a bunch of LeDucs.
Yeah, it was like me, him, a guy named Slick Robbie D. I think he's dead too. I think he went to jail for something.
Oh,
died in jail.
That's.
We called him Slick Robbie D.
Mm-hmm.
He was under WWE development as well.
Mm-hmm.
And on Nashville, the Nashville stretch on 40 from Memphis, once you pass like Camden, Tennessee, you got like 20 miles before you get to the next exit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're drinking. Kids listen to this show?
Nah. Well, they can if they want to, but we say a lot of bad things on here, so they probably shouldn't listen to it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, we're drinking and driving. So that's why I said, I didn't want them to hear it.
I get you.
So we were like drinking plenty of beer. So, if you drink a whole lot of beer, guess what you got to do?
Mm-hmm.
You got to use the restroom.
Right.
So we pulled over on the emergency lane on Interstate 40, jumps out. I'm trying to use the restroom. They said, well, we're just going to open the door and, you just go ahead and take your leak. Okay, state troopers, we see them coming. Guess what they did? They pull off. Here I am with my man in my hand, peeing on Interstate 40, and they're pulling off. And I'm still standing in the middle of, Interstate 40, out in the open, no trees, no nothing. Running with my man in my hand, trying to catch up with them while I'm peeing.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, that was like the funniest thing because I never had anybody to do that to me before.
Uh-huh.
Or they'll wait till you go to sleep and you're driving, and then I saw hollering, ah! And I swerve on the road so you can hear the gravel, and you sleep so you think you're having a wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we had like some of the best times, and that's the only thing I really hate about wrestling. Like all this stuff has changed. It's more egos. It's more political. You know, when the boys did something, it stayed with the boys back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
But now the boys are putting it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll go tell the office. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. Do you,
and drugs did play a big part. So you know.
What was that?
I said drugs has always been a big part of the wrestling business. So.
606 area code. Are you calling in to ask Johnny Dotson a question?
No, I was just listening to the show.
All right.
Well, look, dude, hey, it was a pleasure being on you all show. And, dude, I'm going to tell Brian to call this show.
Oh, that would
be I know
awesome.
he got a whole lot of stories to tell you.
All right. That'd be great. We do have one question from Al Ulb. He wants to know, who is the biggest racist you've met in wrestling?
I'm not sure of those. Let me see. Who can I really say is the biggest racist? Oh, man, dude, there's so many. I'm really trying to think of like which one that really like they dropped the N-bomb more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say probably Bam Bam Bigelow.
Really? That's too bad to hear, because I was a fan of him as a wrestler. I've never, spoken to him or anything. He passed away before we were doing the show, I believe, but that's too bad to hear.
Yeah. But there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Now,
and I know I'm not probably the only black wrestler to say this, though, right?
Sure, of course not. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of them.
Yeah. Where would?
But a lot of them when you pull the race card against the bigger wrestlers as much as they will against the smaller ones.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like, where did you come across racism the most? Was it in Memphis and in WWE and WCW or whereabouts, or what was it? Just pretty much everywhere.
It was pretty much everywhere, but I would say Alabama was probably the worst. Like some of those guys there, and they like indie guys. You know, I was working for Robert Gibson at the time in Alabama. You know, he was booking Alabama, but Robert was really cool. You know, he wasn't like that.
Yeah, but other people were around there. How about any like the fans themselves? Did you come across anybody that?
Oh my God! In Corinth, Mississippi. Oh, that was like the worst town ever. Corinth, Mississippi, and Stanton, Tennessee. You know, me and this guy named Alan Steele was working in Corinth, and the guy called me the N-word or whatever. So, Alan, he's married to a black girl, so it really offended him. So he was like, "Man, I'm gonna throw you to the floor." I was like, "Okay, shoot me out." So he shit canned me out the ring. Boom, I'm on the floor, whatever, selling. We rocking and rolling. So he was like, "Why the guy that called you the N-word?" I was like, "He's right here, or whatever." So he was like, he said, I'm gonna pop you, bump you, boom. He said, "When I nail you, I want you to fall in his seat and lay on him." Mm-hmm. I was like, "Well, okay." He said, "Now, when I fell on him, he said, super kick move." So as I sit in the racer's lap, Alan calls super kick and tells me to move. And he kicked this guy, I promise you. I know about 30 feet.
What served him?
And then we was in Stanton, Tennessee, and they did a deal because I was like really over. Because, it's one of those deals that perception is reality to most people. Mm-hmm. And people have the perception that if you're on TV, you're a star. Mm-hmm. So, I'm on TV every Saturday morning, have my own segments, everything, feuding with some of the WWE guys and everything. So we go to Stanton, and they did a deal that where anybody did a raffle drawing that they were going to date with me that night. Mm-hmm. And some kind of way they were supposed to gimmick it to where the girl I was going to go out with would be my girlfriend anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when they drew the ticket, they drew this young white lady's name. And oh my God, this man jumps up, "You're not going nowhere with that freaking nigger." I'm talking about to the point to where the state troopers in Stanton, Tennessee, which is Tipton County, had to escort me out because the KKK showed up at the building. And so they had to escort me out of the town. It was crazy. I have not been to Stanton, Tennessee since.
Yeah.
I think I'd stay away too. Yeah.
But you should, when you get a chance, look up. It was a company called CWA, and we was wrestling for KW. Brickhouse was in this as well.
Yeah.
Jamie Dundee was in this as well. Tommy Dog, Wolfie D, a guy by the name of Terry Golden was in it as well. And Jamie Dundee cut a promo, and it was a riot that night. It's on YouTube, matter of fact. It was a riot that night. Jamie Dundee was like, you think you the baby daddy to your wife been sleeping with Brick, so you got a half nigger for a baby. When I tell you, this white man threw his child in the air, and all of those rednecks hit the ring. Police, paramedic, ambulance, everything had to come to the building. So when you get a chance, look at that on YouTube. It was crazy.
I just want to tell you quick, because you said you didn't read the Tony Atlas book, and he tells a story in there. He says it's a rib, but it doesn't really sound like a great rib to me. He says Dick Murdoch told him that this wrestling show was at so-and-so place, and he dropped him off there. And the rib was he dropped him off at a Klan rally. And I'm just like, I don't think that sounds like a great rib, Mr. Atlas.
Hey, but then you gotta look at too. Tony's a big guy, so but if he would have dropped me off, it'd have been different.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I do recommend that book, though. The Tony Atlas book is good. But
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah, it's been great having you on, and I would love it if you would ask Brian to come on. That'd be great.
Dude, I will. I will shoot Brian your number. Actually, we got a show to do on Thursday together because the Chief should be here as well. And I will shoot your number to him.
Excellent. I really appreciate it. And loved having you on. It was good times.
Man, hey, dude, I enjoyed it, man. Y'all get a chance, just look at some of my stuff on YouTube. There's some new stuff, some old stuff. I done got old now, so, I'm not as good as I used to be.
Definitely. And you can always email me some stuff, and I'll share it with on our website and our Facebook page so everyone can check it out.
Okay. All right, man, I will do. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. It's been great. Thanks, man. And
all right, man. Talk to you later.
Yep. Bye.
You're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com, and it's me, it's that busy to the jizzy, the D-O double jizzy, BG James. Listen, get it, got it, good.